Hey, how's it going, Satsmate Stackers? Today I'm going to talk about why my focus is on Bitcoin and equity in companies and real businesses. Now, I got to talk about this one, guys, because it really blows my mind on why so many companies don't give employees skin in the game for their companies. So, what I mean by that is equity or a stake in the business. There was a colleague of mine, he said it like a week or two ago. He said, I just don't get why our leadership team doesn't give us equity in the business. Because, if you want us to perform well, you therefore should give us a stake in the company and give us some stock so we can see that stock grow and to success, right? Because if you don't have that stake or that equity or that skin in the game, what's going to make you go above and beyond, right? And yes, we should all do a great job every day at work. That's a no-brainer. We should meet our goals and exceed our goals. But to really, really kind of push the envelope, you should be giving your employees skin in the game. So if a company gives you equity, you own a portion of that business and you will do everything you can to enhance its value, right? Because you want to see that equity go up significantly. That way you have a lot of money or a lot of your stock will go up significantly in value, and then you can cash it out and retire. If you're not given equity in the business, you're just going to do the job and go home, right? And so it boggles my mind why leadership in certain companies doesn't give employees that equity. I'm going to give a few stories of equity in my former companies. So Carvana, this is a funny story. They gave me a decent amount of equity, actually. Like it was almost like 10 grand worth of equity. And it was mind blowing because it was priced at $270 a share about. Think about that for a second. $270 a share. And it went from $270 to $3 a share. Well, when I got laid off, they forced liquidated me. And so it came up to like 100, 200 bucks. And that was a lesson I learned of like, you don't want your only comp to be in equity. You want your comp to be in maybe a combination of equity and bonus and other forms of comp, not just equity. Republic, on the other hand, they didn't give any of their analysts or managers equity. They did have a purchase program for that, but they didn't give anybody that equity. And so people, they would just do their job and go home. And, I wonder, why don't you give analysts a bonus? Why don't you give, lower levels on the business some equity? Don't you want to go above and beyond? And I don't know. It boggles my mind. And where I'm at now, I don't really. I can buy it, but I don't get it allotted to me. So I'm there. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to do it well. But I'm not going to go and bend my back for them, right? If you wanted me to bend my back, I will, but I need to see some of that stake, right? And lastly, there's this company that I interviewed for previously, All Aboard Holdings, and I was going to be pretty senior at the company. Offer came through, and it was just my opinion, but given that I was the head of the department, I want to see that skin in the game, right? Because I would have been leading a lot of the procurement initiatives. I would have been the head of procurement, and I'm doing all this, and I'm not getting a skin in the game. I don't know. For me, that didn't sit right with me. I know, I'm a beggar. I can't be a chooser, but it was one of those things where it didn't sit right for me for some reason, especially with that senior of a role. So that skin in the game, that equity will make people work the longer hours. They will go above and beyond, and they just want that cut of the pie. Look at SpaceX, guys. A lot of people that worked at SpaceX that were janitors or cafeteria workers or coffee baristas or even just analysts, lower level employees, they have several $100,000, even millions of dollars right now because of equity, right? And so the magic of it is, at the time when you're getting it allotted to you, you don't think it's super valuable, maybe, right? You get it and it's like, oh, this is great. But, it's not worth much then. Look at Carvana. I know people right now, can't say names, but they're getting every month, their equity is maturing 15 to 50K a month. And these are just regular run-of-the-mill middle-class employees, managers, senior managers, etc. That's a lot of money, guys, for a corporate run-of-the-mill employee. Same thing with the SpaceX story. So going forward, I'm going to do everything I can to negotiate a stock-based comp plan. I think we all should, right? I actually genuinely think there's the equity class and then the non-equity class. Meaning there's the class that has assets and the class that doesn't. And my question to you is this: do you want to be part of that equity class, the class that has assets, or the class that doesn't? Because it shapes the way you work, it shapes the way you think about things, it shapes everything. And if you're just getting a flat salary, and no offense if you're look, I'm getting a flat salary with a bonus, but I don't think that's the right way to play your cards, over the long run. If you can, in the long run, get that equity position, do it, right? And do it with a company that you see a lot of growth potential. You don't want to be, working at a company your whole life and just getting a salary, contributing to your 401k, and that's it. You need more. You need that skin in the game. So I'm going to do that going forward. And I think Bitcoin is the best hard money in the world, next to like gold and silver. But the ultimate lesson we need to take away from all this that I'm talking about is the fact that dollars are losing their purchasing power. We've, what is it? 70% of all dollars were printed in the past couple of years. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see that if all those dollars were printed, why is what used to be $1 cheeseburger, why is it $4? Why is it why does it cost 400% more for that cheeseburger? It's because your dollar is not worth as much anymore, right? So every dollar that, and yes, everyone should have a small savings account of like 10, 5, 6 months of expenses, whether that's $5,000 or $30,000. 6 months of living expenses should be parked in some cash equivalent, right? But beyond that, you're just getting printed away. So that is key. The next thing is if we're trying to acquire a physical business, we got to negotiate that equity percentage in your favor. You should always try to shoot for a percentage of some type. Your future will thank you. And, I know people that really came ahead in life just because of this simple thing with equity. They are so far ahead, guys. And they're younger than me, right? So I'm just calling it out. It's about which ladder you climb. It's not about how high you climb at your company. It's about which ladder on which building you climb, right? You can climb your ladder to the top of some dead-end job where you're not getting anything. And, you're going to be working the rest of your life. So I think it's about where you place which ladder you climb. I genuinely believe that. I've seen it. And so try to acquire Bitcoin, pair that with equity in stocks and companies alongside that equity in real businesses. That's a trifecta. You're getting exposure to the stock market, you're getting exposure to the hardest money in the world, and you're getting real business exposure, cash flow. Elon he became a trillionaire not because he cashed out and bought a yacht. Remember when he sold PayPal, he had almost $200 million in cash. He recycled and he recirculated that back into his business. He put that $180 million into Tesla and SpaceX, right? Think about that. He could have never worked again and he could have just lived the life. What is it? Tom from Facebook. I haven't heard of him, but he sold out and he cashed out. He's probably living the dream life. But Elon, he would have been worth $100 million. Now he's worth almost $1.5 trillion. So he took all that money and he took a bet on himself. He went all in on himself. And there's a lesson to that. We got to go all in, and we got to bet on ourselves. Because in life, you know, you can't just play it safe if you want to get to the top, right? There's a lot of times where I think Tesla and SpaceX would have gone bankrupt. And he put all of his chips in that too. And so when people see that he's multi-trillionaire, yeah, there's a lot of problems in society, a lot of homeless. But when people see that he's worth what he is, there's a reason for that. He didn't sell his equity along the way in SpaceX or Tesla. No, he's holding it all still, right? And so he bet on himself and he went all in. He would probably be worth, you know, a few billion if he just kept cashing out along the way. And he didn't. And that's why he's as rich as he is. So I think we need to take that same mindset when it comes to life. Every dollar that's not, you know, that's beyond our emergency fund, we need to allocate it towards a purpose. That purpose should be either one of these three areas, in my opinion. Should be towards the Bitcoin, should be towards equity in stocks and companies we believe in and we see growth potential, and it should be in physical, tangible businesses where we're getting stake and we're getting cash flow from. So that's just some of my thoughts, my viewpoints. But what do you guys think? Do you guys see that I'm spot on? Of course, you got to enjoy life. You got to spend money. But I think there's an extent where, you know, there's no return, right? So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I appreciate this one, and I'll see you in the next one.